Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Daily English Lab podcast. If you're still struggling with English after months or even years of studying, it's not because you're bad at languages. It's because nobody taught you the one secret that separates fluent speakers from eternal beginners. And that secret? Consistency. In the next hour, I'm going to show you exactly how consistency transforms your English from broken and hesitant to confident and natural. We'll practice real listening, we'll work on speaking, and by the end of this lesson, you'll understand why doing a little bit every single day beats studying for hours once a week. This isn't theory. This is the exact method that helped thousands of my students finally break through their English plateau. I've been teaching English for over 15 years to students from more than 60 countries. And you know what? The students who became fluent weren't always the smartest or the most talented. They were the most consistent. And today, I'm going to prove to you that consistency is your superpower. Before we dive in, do me a favor. If you're serious about improving your English, hit that subscribe button right now. I post lessons like this every day, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. All right, let's get started. Let me ask you something. Have you ever started learning English with tons of motivation? Maybe you studied for 3 hours on the first day, 2 hours on the second day, and then by day 3, you're exhausted and you quit? Yeah, I thought so. We've all been there. But here's the thing that most English teachers don't tell you. That approach is actually making your English worse, not better. Listen, I get it. Life is busy. You have work, family, responsibilities. Some days you're so tired you can barely think, let alone practice English. And when you see other people speaking fluently, you think, they must be so talented. I could never do that. But that's where you're wrong. Those fluent speakers, they're not special. They're just consistent. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means. Let me tell you about my student Maria. Maria came to me 3 years ago. She was from Brazil, working in customer service, and she was so frustrated with her English. She told me, I've been studying for 5 years, but I still can't have a conversation without freezing up. Does that sound familiar? Comment below if you've ever felt this way. So what was Maria's problem? She would study really hard for a few weeks, then stop completely. Maybe she'd go a month without practicing. Then she'd feel guilty, and she'd try to catch up by studying 6 hours in one weekend. Sound familiar? Here's what happens in your brain when you do this. Every time you stop practicing English, your brain starts to forget. It's like building a sandcastle. You build it up, then the waves wash it away. Then you build it again. Exhausting, right? But when you practice every single day, even just 15 minutes, your brain starts to create permanent pathways. The information moves from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. This is neuroscience, not magic. Your brain is literally changing when you're consistent. Now here's the counterintuitive truth that changed everything for Maria, and it's going to change everything for you too. Are you ready? 15 minutes every day is more powerful than 5 hours once a week. I know, you're thinking, but that's less total time. Exactly, and that's the point. Your brain doesn't learn languages through marathon study sessions. Your brain learns through repetition over time. It's like watering a plant. Would you give your plant 7 cups of water once a week? No, it would die. You give it a little bit of water every single day. Let me prove this to you. Think about a word you learned yesterday. Can you remember it? Maybe. Now think about a word you've heard every single day for the past month. You definitely remember that one, right? That's the power of consistency. Let me give you a perfect example. The word consistency itself. Right now, I've said it maybe 10 times already in this lesson. If you didn't know this word before, you're starting to understand it now, aren't you? And by the end of this hour, when I've said it 50 times, you'll never forget it. That's how consistency works in practice. Another example. Think about your native language. Did you learn it by studying grammar books? No. You learned it by hearing it every single day. Your parents spoke to you every day. You watched TV every day. You lived in that language every day. And slowly, naturally, without even trying, you became fluent. Now, I'm not saying you need to move to an English-speaking country. What I am saying is you need to create that daily exposure yourself. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. All right, let's pause for a second. So far, we've covered why consistency matters and why it's more important than long study sessions. That's point one. But here's what I haven't told you yet. There are 3 types of consistency, and most students only practice one of them. I'm going to reveal all 3 in just a moment, but first, let me tell you what happened to Maria. So Maria started practicing English for just 20 minutes every single morning. Not 2 hours, not 5 hours on the weekend. 20 minutes every single day. She listened to English podcasts while making breakfast. She repeated sentences out loud in the shower. She wrote 3 sentences in her journal before work. That's it. And you know what happened? After 30 days, she noticed she was thinking in English sometimes. After 60 days, she could watch English TV shows without subtitles and understand most of it. After 6 months, she had a 30-minute conversation with an American customer without preparing, without translating, without panicking. She told me, "I don't know how it happened. I just woke up one day and English felt easy." But here's the thing. It didn't just happen. It happened because she was consistent, day after day after day, even on days when she was tired, even on days when she didn't feel like it, even on days when she thought, "What's the point? I'm not improving fast enough." She showed up anyway. And that's the difference between people who become fluent and people who stay stuck forever. It's not talent, it's not intelligence, it's not having more free time. It's consistency. Pause this video for just a second and ask yourself, am I being consistent with my English, or am I doing that stop and start pattern that never works? Be honest with yourself. Drop a comment below and tell me, how many days in a row have you practiced English this month? No judgment. I just want you to become aware of your pattern, because awareness is the first step to change. All right, welcome back. Now we're getting to the really good stuff, the 3 types of consistency. When I teach my private students this framework, this is when everything clicks for them. This is when they stop feeling overwhelmed and start seeing real progress. So pay close attention, because this might be the most important thing you learn today. Type 1 is time consistency. This means practicing at the same time every single day. Now, you might be thinking, does it really matter what time I practice? Yes, it matters more than you think. Here's why. When you practice at the same time every day, it becomes automatic. Your brain starts to expect it. It becomes a habit, not a decision. And that's crucial because motivation is not reliable. Some days you'll feel motivated, some days you won't. But habits don't care about motivation. Habits just happen. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you need motivation to brush your teeth? No, because it's a habit. You do it at the same time every day, probably right after you wake up or right before you bed. You don't think about it. You just do it. That's what we want with your English practice. So here's what I want you to do. Choose one specific time every day for English. Maybe it's 7 a.m. with your morning coffee. Maybe it's during your lunch break at noon. Maybe it's 8 p.m. before you watch Netflix. It doesn't matter what time you choose. What matters is that you choose one time and you stick to it. Let me give you a real example from my student Ahmed. Ahmed worked 12-hour days in construction. He was exhausted all the time, but he decided that every single evening at 9:30 p.m., right before bed, he would practice English for 20 minutes. No exceptions. Even if he was dead tired, even if he had an early morning the next day, 9:30 p.m., English time. And guess what? After 2 weeks, his body started to expect it. At 9:25, his brain would start thinking in English automatically. He didn't need to force it anymore. It just happened. That's the power of time consistency. Quick question for you. What time are you going to practice English every day starting tomorrow? Think about it right now. Visualize it. What will you be doing right before your English practice? What will you be doing right after? The more specific you are, the more likely you'll actually do it. Go ahead and comment your time below. Saying it out loud, or in this case, writing it down, makes it real. All right, type 2, method consistency. This is where most students mess up. They try everything all at once. Monday, they're using an app. Tuesday, they're watching YouTube. Wednesday, they're reading a textbook. Thursday, they're listening to podcasts. And Friday, they're so confused and overwhelmed that they quit. Here's the truth. All of those methods can work, but not if you're constantly switching. You need to pick one primary method and stick with it for at least 90 days. 90 days. That's how long it takes for your brain to actually absorb and integrate new language patterns. Let me explain it this way. Imagine you're digging a well for water. If you dig 1 foot in one spot, then move and dig 1 foot in another spot, then move again and dig 1 foot in a third spot, you'll never find water. But if you dig 10 feet in one spot, you'll hit water eventually. That's method consistency. So, what should your method be? It depends on your level and your goals. But for listening practice at the B1 level, which is what we're doing today, I recommend this. Listen to the same English content multiple times. Not different content every day, the same content, repeated listening. Why? Because the first time you listen, you'll catch maybe 60%. The second time, 80%. The third time, 95%. And by the fourth time, you'll understand everything and you'll have memorized useful phrases without even trying. I had a student named Yuki from Japan. She would watch the same 5-minute English news video every single day for a week. Same video, 7 days in a row. By day 3, she was repeating the phrases out loud. By day 7, she had internalized the vocabulary and grammar patterns so deeply that she started using them in her own speaking naturally. Compare that to another student, Marco, who watched a different video every single day. He felt like he was learning more because he was seeing more content, but 3 months later, he couldn't remember any of it. His English hadn't improved at all. Yuki, on the other hand, made incredible progress because she went deep instead of wide. Now, I know what you're thinking, but won't I get bored listening to the same thing over and over? And here's my challenge to you. Practice English every single day for the next 30 days. Just 30 days. Use the strategies I taught you in this video. Track your streak. Start small, be consistent, and then come back and tell me what happened. I guarantee you'll be shocked at how much you've improved. Remember Maria. Remember Sarah. Remember Diego. They're not special. They're just like you. The only difference is they decided to be consistent, and that decision changed everything. You can do this. I believe in you. But more importantly, you need to believe in yourself. Not in your talent, not in your intelligence. Believe in your ability to show up every single day. That's all it takes. If you found this lesson helpful, please subscribe to this channel. I post new lessons every week to help you improve your English. And drop a comment below telling me, what's your consistency goal? How many minutes will you practice every day? I read every single comment, and I'm cheering for you. Thank you for spending this hour with me. Now go practice. Be consistent. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep going. You've got this. What most teachers don't tell you, yes, you might get a little bored. And that's actually a good sign. Because when you're bored, it means your brain has mastered that content. It's become easy. And when something becomes easy, it means it's moved from your conscious mind to your unconscious mind. That's exactly what we want. Think about driving a car. When you first learned, you had to consciously think about every single action. Turn the wheel, press the brake, check the mirror. It was exhausting. But now, you can drive while having a conversation, listening to music, and thinking about what you're going to make for dinner. Why? Because driving has become unconscious, automatic. That's where we want your English to be. Okay, type 3, intensity consistency. This one is subtle but powerful. Intensity consistency means practicing at the same level of focus every day. Not super intense one day and barely paying attention the next day. The same level of intensity every single day. Here's what I mean. Let's say you've decided to practice for 20 minutes every morning. Great. But if on Monday you're fully focused, taking notes, repeating phrases, really engaged, and then on Tuesday you're just playing English in the background while you scroll through your phone, that's not intensity consistency. Your brain needs predictable intensity to build strong neural pathways. It's like working out at the gym. If you lift really heavy weights one day and then barely lift anything the next day, your muscles get confused. They don't know what to adapt to. But if you lift a consistent amount of weight every single day, your muscles get stronger and stronger. So here's what I recommend. Choose an intensity level that you can maintain every single day. For most people, that's about 70%. Not 100%, burning yourself out, and definitely not 20%, barely trying. 70%. Focused, but sustainable. Let me give you a practical example. If you're doing listening practice, 70% intensity means you're sitting in a quiet place, you have your notebook ready, you're playing the audio at normal speed, and you're actively trying to understand. You're not lying in bed half asleep. You're not in a noisy cafe where you can't concentrate. You're giving it real attention. But you're also not stressing out, pausing every 2 seconds, looking up every single word. You're relaxed, but engaged. That's intensity consistency. And when you combine it with time consistency and method consistency, that's when the magic happens. Let's recap quickly. 3 types of consistency. Type 1, time consistency. Same time, every day. Type 2, method consistency. Same method for 90 days. Type 3, intensity consistency. Same level of focus every day. Master these 3, and your English will improve faster than you ever thought possible. But now I need to tell you about the biggest obstacle to consistency. The one thing that destroys everyone's progress. And I bet you've experienced this yourself. I'm going to reveal what it is and how to overcome it in just a moment. Here's the brutal truth about consistency. Motivation will fail you. I don't care how excited you are right now. I don't care how determined you feel. In 3 days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, you're going to wake up and you're not going to feel like practicing English. You're going to think, I'm too tired today. I'll do extra tomorrow. And that's the beginning of the end. Because here's what happens. You skip one day, then you feel guilty. Then you skip another day because you're still feeling guilty about the first day. Then a week goes by, then a month, and suddenly you're back where you started, wondering why you can't stay consistent. I see this pattern all the time. Students come to me so excited, I'm really going to do it this time. And I believe them. They believe themselves. But 2 weeks later, they've disappeared. Why? Because they were relying on motivation instead of systems. Let me tell you the secret that changed everything for me and my most successful students. Don't rely on motivation. Build a system. What's the difference? Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. A system is a structure. It's always there. Here's what a system looks like. You're going to create what I call a minimum viable practice. This is the smallest amount of English practice that still counts as practice. For most people, that's 10 minutes. Some people do 5 minutes. The key is that it's so small, so easy, that you have no excuse not to do it. Let me give you an example from my own life. I wanted to start exercising consistently, but I hated exercise. I kept starting and stopping. Then I created a minimum viable practice, 10 push-ups every morning. That's it. Not a full workout, not 30 minutes at the gym, just 10 push-ups. Takes less than a minute. And you know what? I've done it every single day for 3 years. Because it's so easy, I can't say no. And here's the crazy part. Most days, after I do my 10 push-ups, I feel like doing more. So I do 20 push-ups, or I do some sit-ups, or I go for a walk, but the commitment is just 10. That's the minimum viable practice. Now, let's apply this to English. Your minimum viable practice might be, listen to 2 minutes of English and repeat 1 sentence out loud. That's it. 2 minutes. You can do that even on your worst day, even when you're sick, even when you're exhausted. 2 minutes. And here's what happens. Most days, you'll do more than 2 minutes, because starting is the hard part. Once you start, momentum carries you forward. But the commitment is just 2 minutes, so you have no excuse. Now, I want you to think about something you do every single day without fail. Maybe it's brushing your teeth. Maybe it's drinking coffee in the morning. Maybe it's checking your phone when you wake up. Whatever it is, that's your anchor habit. We're going to attach your English practice to that anchor habit. This is called habit stacking, and it's one of the most powerful psychological techniques for building consistency. Here's how it works. Let's say you drink coffee every morning at 7 a.m. Great. Your new rule is, after I pour my coffee, I will listen to English for 2 minutes before I take the first sip. See how that works? You're not adding something completely new to your schedule. You're attaching it to something you already do automatically. Or maybe you scroll through social media every night before bed. Okay, new rule. Before I open Instagram, I will speak English out loud for 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Then you can scroll all you want. The key is to make it automatic. You don't think about whether you want to do it. You just do it. It's part of the routine, like brushing your teeth. You don't debate whether you feel motivated to brush your teeth. You just do it. That's what we're creating with your English practice. Now let's talk about what happens when you miss a day. Because you will miss a day eventually. Life happens. You get sick, you have an emergency, you're traveling, whatever. You're gonna miss a day. And here's the most important rule. Never miss 2 days in a row. Missing 1 day is okay. We're human. But missing 2 days creates a pattern. And patterns are hard to break. So if you miss Monday, Tuesday is non-negotiable. You must practice on Tuesday no matter what. Even if it's just 60 seconds, even if it's just listening to 1 English sentence while you're in the bathroom, you have to keep the streak alive. I learned this from a student named Chen. Chen had been practicing English every single day for 45 days. Then he got the flu and missed a day. He felt terrible about it, but instead of giving up, he said, "Okay, I missed one day, but I'm not missing two." The next day, even though he was still sick, he listened to English for 3 minutes while lying in bed. That's it, 3 minutes, but he kept the habit alive. And you know what? That was 8 months ago. Chen hasn't missed 2 days in a row since then. He's had single missed days here and there, but he always gets back on track immediately. And now his English is incredible because he understood that consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about not quitting. Let me give you a visual. Imagine consistency is a fire. If you keep adding wood to the fire every day, it stays burning. If you miss a day, the fire gets smaller, but it's still there. You can revive it easily. But if you miss 2 days, the fire goes out completely. And starting a fire from scratch is so much harder than keeping one burning. That's your English practice. Keep the fire burning, even on bad days, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's hard. Add some wood to the fire. Do your 2 minutes. Keep it alive. Comment below right now, what's your anchor habit gonna be? What do you do every single day that you can attach your English practice to? Be specific. The more specific you are, the more likely you'll actually do it. All right, we've talked about why consistency matters and how to build it into your life. Now it's time to practice. For the next 12 minutes, I'm going to tell you 3 real stories about consistency. Your job is to listen carefully and try to understand everything. We're going to go through each story multiple times, just like I taught you earlier. Same content, repeated listening. This is method consistency in action. There's a small sushi restaurant in Tokyo that's been owned by the same family for 85 years. The current owner, Mr. Tanaka, is 72 years old. He wakes up every single morning at 4 a.m. Every morning, for the past 50 years. At 4 a.m., he goes to the fish market. He inspects the fish carefully. He chooses only the best quality. Then he returns to his restaurant and begins preparing. He cuts the fish exactly the same way every single day. He seasons the rice with the same technique his father taught him. He arranges everything with precision and care. The restaurant opens at 11 a.m. every day except Wednesday, because Wednesday is his rest day. Has been for 50 years. Customers know this. They don't even try to visit on Wednesday. Mr. Tanaka doesn't advertise. He doesn't have a website. He doesn't do social media. But there's always a line of people waiting outside his restaurant. Why? Because everyone knows that the quality is consistent. Every single time you visit, the sushi tastes exactly as good as the last time. You know what you're going to get. That's the power of consistency. Mr. Tanaka isn't the most talented chef in Tokyo. There are younger chefs with fancy techniques, but nobody is more consistent than Mr. Tanaka. And that consistency has made him legendary. Now, let me ask you something. Are you being like Mr. Tanaka with your English? Same quality every day? Same dedication every morning? Or are you trying to be fancy and creative but never sticking with anything long enough to master it? Let's break down that story. What can we learn from Mr. Tanaka? First, he wakes up at the same time every day. Time consistency. Second, he does the same routine every single day. Method consistency. Third, he maintains the same high standard every day. Intensity consistency. See how all 3 types work together? And notice something else. Mr. Tanaka takes Wednesday off. He rests. Consistency doesn't mean you never rest. It means you rest on schedule. You're consistent with your rest, too. Remember that. You can have one rest day per week for English practice, but it should be the same day every week. Make it part of the system. Let me tell you about my friend Sarah. Sarah decided 5 years ago that she wanted to run a marathon. But there was one problem. She hated running. She had never run more than a mile in her entire life. She was completely out of shape. But Sarah is smart. She knew that motivation wouldn't last, so she created a system. She decided she would run every single morning at 6 a.m. Just 10 minutes. That was the commitment. 10 minutes. The first week was hard, really hard. Sarah's legs hurt, she was out of breath, she wanted to quit. But she kept her commitment. 10 minutes every morning at 6 a.m. Week 2 was a little easier. By week 3, 10 minutes felt almost natural. So she increased it to 15 minutes. Month after month, Sarah kept running. Same time every morning, 6 a.m. She didn't run extra on days when she felt good. She didn't skip on days when she felt tired. She ran exactly what she planned to run. No more, no less. Consistency. After 6 months, Sarah was running 30 minutes every morning. After 1 year, 45 minutes. After 18 months, she ran her first marathon. Not fast, not competitive, but she finished. And you know what? She's still running every single morning at 6 a.m. 5 years later. It's just part of who she is now. Now, think about your English. Maybe right now you can only practice for 10 minutes. That's okay. Start with 10 minutes. Be consistent and watch what happens over time. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need unlimited time. You just need to show up every single day. What did Sarah do right? She started small, 10 minutes, not 60 minutes. She picked a specific time, 6 a.m. She didn't let her feelings dictate her actions. On bad days, she still ran. And most importantly, she was patient. She didn't expect results in 1 week or 1 month. She trusted the process. This is exactly what you need to do with English. Start small, pick a specific time, don't let your feelings control you, and be patient. Results take time, but if you're consistent, they will come. I promise you that. One more story. This one is about a student of mine named Diego. Diego was from Mexico, and he wanted to work for an international company. But his English was terrible, really terrible. He could barely introduce himself. Diego came to me and said, I need to be fluent in 6 months. I told him, that's not realistic, but if you're consistent, you can make incredible progress in 6 months. So we created a plan. Every single day, Diego would practice English for 30 minutes, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. He would listen to the same English podcast episode every day for 1 week. He would repeat sentences out loud. He would write 3 sentences in his journal. Diego was consistent. Not perfect. He missed some days, but he never missed 2 days in a row. And after 6 months, he had an interview for his dream job. The interview was completely in English, and he got the job. Was Diego fluent after 6 months? No, not fluent, but he was good enough. He could have a conversation. He could understand most of what people said. He could express his ideas clearly. And that's because he was consistent. Diego is still my student. It's been 2 years now. And now he is fluent. He conducts business meetings in English. He gives presentations. He even dreams in English sometimes. All because he showed up every single day. All right, let's get practical. How do you actually stay consistent with English practice? I'm going to give you 5 strategies that work for my most successful students. Strategy number 1, make it stupid easy. I said this before, but I'm going to say it again because it's that important. Your daily practice should be so easy that you have no excuse not to do it. If you're thinking, I need to practice for 1 hour every day, you're going to fail.
That's too hard to maintain. Instead, think like this. I will listen to English for 5 minutes while I brush my teeth and get dressed in the morning. That's it. 5 minutes. You're getting dressed anyway. Just play English in the background. Is that going to make you fluent overnight? No. But is it sustainable for the next year? Yes. And that sustainability is what leads to fluency.
Remember, we're not looking for the perfect practice routine. We're looking for the routine you'll actually do every single day for months and years. Small and consistent beats big and sporadic every single time. Strategy number 2. Set up your environment. Make English practice the easiest option. Here's what I mean. Put English reminders everywhere. Change your phone language to English. Put sticky notes with English phrases around your house. Download English podcasts so they're ready to play without thinking about it. One of my students put a sticky note on his bathroom mirror that said, "Speak English for 2 minutes." Every morning when he brushed his teeth, he saw that note, and it reminded him. He didn't have to rely on memory or motivation. The environment did the work for him. Another student set her phone alarm for 7 p.m. every single day with the message, "English time." When the alarm went off, she would stop whatever she was doing and practice for 10 minutes. The alarm made the decision for her. She didn't have to think about it. This is how you beat inconsistency. You remove the need to think about it. You make it automatic through your environment. The easier you make it, the more likely you'll actually do it. Strategy number 3. Track your streak. Get a calendar. Physical or digital, doesn't matter. And every day you practice English, put a big X on that day. Your goal is to not break the chain. You want to see a long line of X marks with no gaps. Why does this work? Because once you have a streak of 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, you don't want to break it. You've invested too much. Breaking the streak feels like losing something valuable. So you keep going. I have a student who has a 300-day streak right now. She told me, "Some days I really don't want to practice, but then I look at my calendar and I see all those X marks and I think, I'm not breaking this streak today. So I practice anyway." That's the power of tracking. It makes consistency visible. It turns your effort into something concrete that you can see and feel proud of. Strategy number 4. Find an accountability partner. This is someone who is also learning English, and you both commit to practicing every single day. Every evening, you send each other a message, "I practiced today." That's it, just that simple message. Why does this work? Because you don't want to let your partner down. Even on days when you would skip for yourself, you'll do it for them, and they'll do it for you. You're supporting each other. I have 2 students, Anna and Luis, who have been accountability partners for 8 months now. They've never met in person. They live in different countries, but they message each other every single day. And both of them have made more progress in these 8 months than they made in the previous 2 years. Why? Because they know someone is watching. Someone cares about their consistency. Strategy number 5. Celebrate your consistency. Every week that you practice every single day, give yourself a small reward. Maybe it's your favorite dessert. Maybe it's an episode of your favorite show. Maybe it's just telling yourself, "I'm proud of you." Whatever feels good. Why celebrate? Because your brain needs positive reinforcement. If English practice only feels like hard work with no reward, you'll eventually quit. But if you celebrate your consistency, your brain starts to associate English practice with good feelings, and that makes it easier to keep going. One of my students buys herself a special coffee every Sunday if she practiced every day that week. It's a small thing, but it makes her look forward to it. It makes consistency feel good instead of feeling like a burden. Let's review everything we covered in this lesson. We talked about why consistency is more important than talent or time. We learned about the 3 types of consistency: time, method, and intensity. We explored how to overcome the motivation trap by building systems instead of relying on feelings. We practiced listening with 3 stories that illustrate consistency in action. And we learned 5 practical strategies to stay consistent. But here's the most important thing I want you to remember. Consistency is a choice you make every single day. Not once, not when you're motivated, every single day. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Your English will improve in direct proportion to how consistent you are. Not how talented you are, not how much free time you have, how consistent you are. That's the only thing that matters. So here's what I want you to do right now. Before you close this video, decide on 3 things. First, what time will you practice English every single day? Second, what will be your minimum viable practice? How many minutes? Third, what will be your anchor habit? What existing habit will you attach your English practice to? Write these 3 things down right now. Not later, now. Because if you don't decide now, you won't do it tomorrow. And if you don't do it tomorrow, you won't do it ever.